Let me call to order the meeting for the Ways and Means Committee for the Town of Kiowa for December the 2nd. May we do the roll call, please?
Chairman Farrell.
Here.
Mayor Bell.
Here.
Spencer.
Here.
Ms. Tillerson. Here. Ms. Schubert. Here.
Are there any edits or corrections to the minutes from our last meeting?
Not from me, Mr. Chairman.
Then we'll assume those are correct and enter into the record, please. Citizens' comments? Looks like we have none. Old business is none. New business. To review the recommendation of Ordinance 2517 and ordinance to amend the Finance and Taxation chapter for new business, municipal business licenses, and the whole rate schedule.
Yes, thank you. So this is the second reading, actually, of this ordinance. I presented it to you last month, and there are two items to this request. The first is to approve the ordinance with the updated class schedule. And this is something that is required by law, by South Carolina law. Every couple of years, the IRS reviews how profitable businesses are and may suggest changes from the classes. So there is about, in our case, there is about 1,800 businesses that will change classes, and majority of them is short-term rentals and management companies. They're gonna go from class 7 to class 8. So that's one item of the changes of the ordinance updated class schedule. The second item is because of those changes, we can possibly see a drop in our revenues in business licenses. So originally, no, not originally. After talking to the chairman, the staff recommends now that to offset that drop in the revenues will slightly increase the business license fees. And you will see on the schedule, Exhibit A. So what we're recommending is to leave the base rate as it is and increase the rate after 1,000 for 10 cents. And that way, assuming that the businesses will report the same revenue as they did last year, we should pretty much break even with those changes in the classification. So the staff recommends also slight increase in license fees. Any questions?
And so for just a little bit of a clarification, Dorada said this, but we looked at the drop, and there's probably a potential for a greater drop depending on what happens with the economy this year and next. This year it's baked in, right, our revenue?
Yes.
This is really for
Next year, correct.
And importantly, we saw the drop, and we're not trying to make extra money, we're just trying to cover our costs or have no reduction or no negative, but not have a big positive. So we worked the numbers, and I think 10 cents worked out to be pretty close to breaking.
Zero, yeah, to zero. Mm-hmm.
So our intent was to keep it as low as possible, but still cover all the costs.
So we recommend that you approve or recommend to town council to approve the ordinance with those two changes.
Do I have a motion?
Move approval of the staff's recommendation.
Second. Any more discussion?
Just for the record, Mr. Chairman, the staff recommendation in this instance is different than the staff recommendation when we considered this at the last
Correct.
Ways and Means meeting. But at that point in time, you were indisposed or not able to obtain. The Ways and Means Committee approved the staff's recommendation not to make any adjustment in the fee rate, but specifically noted that you had discussions with staff, and that those discussions would be ongoing as to better understand the overall revenue impact, and that this committee would be of a mind to potentially reconsider the original staff recommendation at a subsequent Ways and Means Committee meeting, which is where we are now.
And a couple other things, thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. A couple other things is, we wanted to keep the schedule very simple and very clean. That was very important to our finance director.
Yes.
And we also, there is some uncertainty around the economy going out, so we didn't want to add anything extra in there for uncertainty, so we just looked at what we thought were the right costs. And then the third thing was we looked at just the variable piece and wanted that to be consistent so it stayed clean as you got larger and larger, and not punish the smaller organizations, but just keep it just a flat rate across the board. So that's how we come up with this. There was a lot of discussion between the finance director and myself, and I think maybe you had some discussion with as well. But this is where we are today.
Well, and as I noted at the time, I was accepting of the staff's recommendation, but certainly at the last meeting, but it pushed back a little bit at that point in time, and recognized that the chairman had some different views about potential revenue impacts. Didn't feel particularly strongly about it, in part because the revenue impact is not really material, but as a policy matter, I'm certainly comfortable going along with the current staff recommendation, the chairman's recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Then,
Any other
or
discussion,
any questions?
questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion in front of us. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Berner. Nice to have you here. On to new business, item B, consider the approval of tree work project for Keel Island. Here he is.
Morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. So the landscape and the right-of-way along the Keel Island Parkway is our responsibility to maintain for safety and aesthetics. Currently, there's trees and canopies that hang low over the roadway and leisure trail, requiring clearance to mitigate safety issues for motorists and users of leisure trail. Also, a significant number of specimen trees need to be pruned for health and aesthetics. This work will not only eliminate potential safety issues along the parkway, but improve the look and feel of the Keel Island Parkway as travelers travel to and from the island. Town staff came up with a scope of work to be presented to potential bidders. The scope included pruning for safety, tree health, and overall look of the parkway, including vine control on front-facing trees and vegetation. Town staff conducted multiple ride-alongs with 2 interested companies to ensure the full scope of the project was understood and that equal bids would be submitted. Town staff reached out to 3 companies, and we received two bids from 2 companies. First is Ralston Services, Inc., at $52,875, and Arbor Care was $50,750 plus $22.50 a day per day for traffic control. Both of these bids include the same scope of work, and it's anticipated that the total project will take about 10 days to complete. Ralston Services can start this work immediately by breaking it into doing it a couple days at a time. Town staff is requesting that the Ways and Means Committee recommend or approve the proposal from Ralston Services to perform the work along the Keel Island Parkway as described in the scope of work to the contractor. And one edit on the budget and financial data will actually be able to pull 70% from restricted funds and 30% from general funds if this gets approved. I'd be happy to answer any questions about this project if you all have any.
Brian, just to clarify one thing, Rawson's bid includes traffic control?
Yes, sir, it's all inclusive. And if I can note too, Ralston Services was the contractor that performed the work in and around the roundabout a month or so ago. So they're familiar with doing work on
And
Keel
they
Island.
also performed the same scope of work along Beachwalker Drive earlier this year.
They did, yes, sir. And they're also the primary contractor for the Keel Island Community Association. So whenever you see tree work being done along the interior part of the island, it's typically going to be Ralston Services.
So since the traffic control was broken out by Arbor Care, and I don't see any mention of traffic control in Ralston's estimate, are you comfortable that it's gonna be there, or do we need to put that in the contract, or how are we gonna handle that?
I can promise that it is included, but when we want to sign this off, we can get further explicit confirmation that traffic control is included in their bid of $52,000.
And will we be using a standard bid contract for this? Are we to that point yet, where we use our contracts versus theirs? Procurement contracts?
The answer is not really. This is a fairly simple scope of work. It's not an ongoing contractual or vendor relationship. It's an ongoing issue or tension that we look at with regard to all of these things. It's not an insignificant amount of money, obviously, but it's the standard form of contract is generally best suited for not piecemeal work, but kind of the large-scale vendor or ongoing contractual relationships.
And we do have, we've had our attorney, our law team review kind of a scope of work contract, something that's for one particular project instead of, we have our contracts that we've gone through, our standard contract for kind of perpetual services, but we do have a scope of work contract that's been reviewed by HSB that we can implement.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
Just a little, kind of for the record, this is, number one, this is budgeted work. We have a significant amount of money budgeted for landscape maintenance and improvements. This is part of an ongoing effort to take better care of our right-of-way along our public roads, including the roundabout, Beach Walker Drive, and Kiowa Island Parkway. We've done the roundabout recently, as people have seen. Rawson's did that work. Last year, we did the work along Beach Walker Drive. And one thing I would point out is the work along Beach Walker Drive was substantially less expensive than this is. But what seems to account for the difference is a substantially greater scope of work. There's a more extensive treescape. It's 2 miles rather than 3/4 of a mile, and a lot of the cost relates to traffic control, much more critical on Kiowa Island Parkway than it was on Beach Walker Drive. Brian, as I recall, the Beach Walker project took 2 days or 2.5, or was it 1.5? It was
about 2.5 days.
2.5 days.
Yes, sir.
Whereas this is estimated to take, as many as 10 days. It's just a much more extensive project. But as Brian noted, this is for safety reasons and aesthetic, tree health reasons and aesthetic reasons as well. And it's people don't, I think, appreciate because it's more a gradual process, but this is also on top of the extraordinarily good work that Land One has done along the Leisure Trail and right-of-way of clearing out a lot of the underbrush. And now this is to deal with not just the understory, but the trees. And what I hope people will appreciate is we've got an extraordinary number of grand trees along Kiowa Island Parkway, particularly live oaks, that have been kind of heretofore hidden from view, and they're going to be a little bit more prominent and visible as we go forward.
I think I saw Site One out planting grass this morning on my way in, on the bike path, right near the curve of the bridge. Somebody was planting grass.
They were out there on the parkway this morning. Hopefully they're taking some cover right now, given the rain coming down, but yes, sir. They've, as the mayor said, they've been doing a really great job out there.
You did answer one of my questions. You said we're going to do the 70-30. It's not all coming out of the general funds.
Correct.
And that was going to be one of my questions. Okay.
I looked up Magalona trees because I've never heard of them, and Google says it's probably a misspelling of magnolia. Is that correct?
Yes. If that was if that was not spelled correctly, on the document, then
So it is
yes, it does
magnolia.
mean magnolia trees. I'm not sure that we have any of those other trees on the parkway.
So perhaps we can, I don't think we need to actually, it's an amendment, suggest a correction because, in that, but also the addition that the approval would be contingent upon revising the bid documents to clarify that traffic control is part of the bid.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you all.
That's all the new business we have. For Chairman's report, I'm going to defer to Dorada to talk about both our financial audit and our assessment, if you would, and the timing.
So the audit committee met last month to review the initial draft of the internal control assessment. They had some comments to the draft, and I have relayed those comments to our auditors. They implemented majority of them in a draft that I just received, and the audit committee is going to meet again this coming Monday at 1 o'clock I'm hoping for a final review of the draft so we can come up with the good final draft, and we'll have a presentation in form of executive summary of the findings and comments at the next town council meeting. But of course, the draft will be available, or the final version of the report will be available to all the council and everyone who likes to read that 80 pages.
And most of the changes we suggested were more in tone than in substance.
Correct.
It was really, I don't know how else to describe it other than to say that. There wasn't any material changes where we disagreed with what they said or they disagreed with our comments. It was more about how we presented this in a tone sounding more positive rather than more of a negative tone to it.
Yeah.
Is that
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you'll see the draft sometime by the end of the month. And I do have the budget report.
Go ahead straight into that, please.
Yes. So for the first 4 months, our revenues, I'm sorry, I was just thinking, I thought talking about December, but it's through November. This is through November. So for the first 4 months, we collected about 6.4 million in revenues, which is about 37% of the total budgeted revenues. At this time, and comparing to last year to the same period of time, it's about 690,000 more in total revenues, and it's mostly related to a increase in business license revenues, and pretty much the rest is within comparable to last year, and they all within the budget. As far as the expenditures, we have spent 4.2 million, which is about 28% of the total budgeted expenditures for the year, and it's about 230,000 more than we spent last year. I am going to work this month on the mid-year budget review, and we'll have some comparisons to you at the next Ways and Means, and then we can decide if we need to make any budget amendments or there will be any big changes. But except for the building or extension of the building, I don't foresee any overages in expenditures coming up.
Just one clerical thing on the 5th column from the left. Is that supposed to be fiscal year 2025 year to date?
Which column? 1, 2, 3, 4?
5th column.
Yeah, it should be 25. Yep, sorry. Anything else? Okay.
I just
thank you.
note the administration is 69%, which is a large percentage based on the amount of time expended.
So
Not a big number, though. I mean.
it's not a big
dollar-wise.
number in total.
What would be included in that?
So, for example, like copier leases.
I see, okay.
It's not administration as like Stephanie's department. It's
Right.
more of a running the building, not maintenance, but clerical.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Any more questions? Citizen comments? Committee member comments?
The only thing I would note, Mr. Chairman, is that we'll need to come back to Ways and Means at a future time, whether it's next month's meeting or not, to deal with some issues related to, cost allocation or expenditures associated with the Civic Cultural Center project. And then we'll also, Dorota, come back in probably January and February with regard to potential mid-year budget adjustments.
Anything else? Okay, if nothing else, we're adjourned.